Kelly here with my colleague, Sentinel columnist Dave Hyde. We are here at Frankie's Sports Bar, which is at 900 Silk Run, and at Gulfstream Park, which is the sponsor for the show. Dave, it's the bye-week edition of X's and Omar, and if there was ever a team that needed a bye, it would be the Miami Dolphins, the injury-decimated Miami Dolphins, but they happen to be 5-5 heading into the final six-game stretch, but that 5-5 record comes after Sunday's 31-12 loss to the Green Bay Packers. We've seen a season like no other with this Dolphins team, where a team has been absolutely obliterated by injuries. Miami got shredded by the Packers, which isn't too surprising, but the offense got into the red zone 3 times and came away with 0 touchdowns. Who's at fault for the loss?
Well, let's look at, everybody talks about the injury-decimated Dolphins because they've let their injuries be the storyline. Where's the tight end?
Yeah.
Where's Devontae Parker? You talk about the red zone offense. They're the two guys that you're looking for.
Mike Gesicki was supposed to be the number 1 red zone weapon on this team.
So look, the Patriots play the Packers. They don't have their best offensive lineman. They don't have their best receiver, and they don't have their best running back, and they win by 2 touchdowns. Now, I get they have Tom Brady. We don't need to go there, but what I'm saying is everybody's got big injuries. And yes, the Dolphins have injuries. The problem is they don't have the other players stepping up that you're counting on. Parker, Gesicki, where are they?
Okay, I hear where you're coming from, but you're talking about a team without a starting quarterback, a team without 4 starters.
The backup's playing as good as a starter.
Oh, no, not anymore. Relatively. But 1 starter, season opening starter on the offensive line. Let's look at this defensive line. Yeah, you've got 2 players who are back from injuries.
On Sunday.
On Sunday with Jesse Davis. I mean, how are you going to play without Laramie Tunsil and Juwan James?
Well, let's face it. They didn't cost them the game, though.
That's true.
They played fine. That offense in the first half had nearly 200 yards, had over 200 yards, 224 yards of offense. For the season, they're averaging 145. That offense moved the ball up and down the field. It was scoring. Now, you can put that on Brock Osweiler. You can put it equally on, again, where are the guys developing through a season? Where's, Devontae Parker, his agent made such a huge deal. He's a great player. He had 1 game, and the last 2 games he's been Devontae Parker that we know. He's disappeared.
And now he's hurt.
Well,
let's get to the first question of X's and Omar, which comes from Sean. If someone would have told you at the beginning of the season, Dave, that the Dolphins would be by the bye week, despite all these injuries, would you consider this a solid job?
Well, let's remember, I said they had to go 3-0, and they did. Since then, it's been a disappointing year, right? The first 3 games were they're showing marks of a good team. The problem since then is they've beaten, like the Jets game, if they miss the layup, the blame's on them, right?
That's true. That's fair. But they beat a Bears team.
They have been 1-4 now on the road. That tells you they're not a very good team. And 3 of the games were double-digit losses. That tells you they're not very good.
5-5. This is where I expected them to be at this point in the season. I expect them to be an 8-8 team. That was my preseason prediction. So 5-5. We're at status quo. Right now, you got to get 3 more wins to meet what my baseline in terms of expectations were. But I'm impressed by the fact that they're doing it without Ryan Tannehill. I'm impressed by the fact that they're doing it without William Hayes. I'm impressed by the fact that, hey, you've got 2 starters on your offensive line gone. Albert Wilson, good God. I didn't even expect him to be that much of a playmaker as he was. And now you've got nothing. What do you have on offense outside of the consistent running of Frank Gore and Kenyan Drake eventually getting the ball in space?
Why don't you have anything on offense is the bigger question. It's not what do you have. It's okay, yes, Albert Wilson was a breakthrough player. That's probably it. Josh Sitton, they were having to Mike Pouncey him in training camp. Sit out practice because they're worried he's going to get hurt. Why are you building around players like that?
That's true. You've said from the very beginning that building a team around 30-year-olds is a very risky and dangerous thing.
And it's not going to work in football. And they've got the bad end of it, yes. And now everybody's talking about the injuries. I'd rather talk about where are the players rising up that you should be seeing in the second half of an NFL
2008,
season.
2016, when Adam Gase led this team to a 10-6 record, they had backups stepping up and performing at a high level. And I don't think you're seeing that right now.
All right, Omar, let me ask the question. Jason asks, how do you salvage any remnants of respect and wins this season?
I think the only way that you can get to 500, which I said from the beginning is my goal.
Well, let me stop you there. The bar is so low on
Yes,
this
it is.
franchise. It is
Yes,
so
it is.
low.
That's part of the
I'm
problem.
an old man. I came in here, and the expectation was every year they're going to make the playoffs. That was given. And the question is, do they win in January?
Do you see a playoff team?
But that's my point. Okay, then if you're going into a season saying, well, all they can
Did
be
you
is
go
8-8.
into this season saying you saw a playoff team?
No, but my point is that's why it's a bad franchise right now.
Nobody's arguing the fact that it's a
you
bad
wrote
franchise.
You wrote a good column today,
Thank you.
roughly going through that.
To address the how do you salvage this, you got to stop the run. That's every defense that you've ever talked to. What do they say their number one priority is for every single game? Stop the run. Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL at stopping the run.
32.
There's nobody worse. And they can say all they want that it's the big plays that keep popping out. Okay, well, why do these big plays keep popping out? Because you've got no defensive tackles that occupy two blockers. You've got nobody who protects these linebackers, and the linebackers can't handle the traffic.
Yeah, the linebackers aren't. They're in trouble right now.
They can do a lot of things, but they cannot handle traffic. All three of them. Raekwon McMillan is not playing up to the level that he should be playing. Kiko Alonso, he's having a Pro Bowl type season. But you know Kiko, if you block Kiko, Kiko's block, and Jerome Baker is the same way. You need defensive tackles that can take up blockers.
Well, why don't they? And that gets in the architecture.
Yeah, no question.
They were built, the big issue they had in the offseason where teams were lining up 3 wide on them 65% of the time. They didn't have the manpower, the right man to people to get. So they go out and get Minka Fitzpatrick, get Jerome Baker, get guys who can do that, get pass rushers who say, okay, we're going to rush the pass, we're going to defend the pass. And what do teams smartly say? Oh, okay, we'll run the ball up the gut on you. And that's why Kerryon Johnson of Detroit has a career day. Last week it was Aaron Jones who had a breakthrough day, and now he's a star in the NFL. Teams are running through the Dolphins, and I know that kills you, Omar, because that's your where you define teams.
That's you're playing the trenches that dictates how good you are as an NFL team, and right now the Dolphins are tragically bad in the trenches.
Okay, David Pelillo, if I said that right, sorry, David, wants to know: do you think this season changes the fan base's mindset on drafting trench players early? Most complain. Most complain about signing free agents, but also balk at drafting linemen as well.
This is right in my wheelhouse, Dave.
I'm going to duck.
This is right in my wheelhouse, Dave. What do I say every year? I say the Quentin Nelsons of the league. They are impactful players. When Dallas was good, one of the best teams in the NFL, what did they have? They had a monster of an offensive line.
They didn't win a playoff game. How can you say
they were good. They were better than they are now. You're talking about firing the coach. Here's my problem. The most productive and consistent first-round picks you've had this decade: Jake Long, Jawan James, Mike Pouncey, Laramie Tunsil. You could say whatever you want about productivity and how much you're using these resources on offensive line, but how has the Deion Jordans of the world done for you? How has the Devontae Parkers of the world done for you? How have the Charles Harrises of the world done for you? You want to take a quality, you want to improve your team, improve your trenches.
So you take Jake Long over Matt Ryan?
No.
You would draft Mike Pouncey as the highest center ever at the time drafted?
I mean, what are my options? Did you want Colin Kaepernick? I would have done Colin Kaepernick at that pick.
Here's my larger point. They need good players, wherever they come from. Okay. Their whole offense was built this year on average players. Their defenses has a couple, above average, possible Pro Bowl, but no. Where are the special players? You need to go out and find some special players wherever they are.
They've tried. I mean, they've
tried. You don't get gold star for trying in the NFL. This is the big leagues.
Yeah.
Okay, our next one comes from Chris Buston. Does Steve Ross remain patient with Adam Gase as he was with Joe Philbin?
It's hard for me to sit here and say that Steve Ross is doing the right thing by sticking with this regime and this head coach. And the reason why I say it's hard is because Steve has always spent one extra year too long with the regime, with the coaching staff, when he knew that it was going nowhere. And so if that's my main indictment on Steve Ross as an owner, that's the number one mistake he's ever made. I feel guilty sitting here saying that Adam Gase needs another year. But he has shown you 10-6 in his first season. Last year was a disaster for various reasons, starting with Jay Cutler. But then this season, it's kind of turning into a pretty bad season. Let's say they have finished the year 7-9. Who's to blame for that? Is it the offense that's one of the bottom dwellers in the league for the third straight year? Or is it the defense that's one of the bottom dwellers in the league?
I think we can spread it all around.
Yeah.
And the larger point, look, I'm not ready to go as strong as you are on that right now. There's time. There's time. But the problem the Dolphins have had, and I'm going to talk of two sides of my mouth here, for the last 15 years, is constantly shifting regimes, and the next regime comes in, and we got to get rid of these guys.
Yep.
Not the
now we're switching to 3-4.
So
now we need big physical players. Forget all this speed.
I get being patient,
yes.
And you need to be patient because that's the only way it's going to work. And yet, here's the other side of my mouth. I look at the constantly questions of leadership and who's leading and how are they leading. You got cutting Jordan Phillips. You got the agent from Parker calling you incompetent, and you got Rashad Jones quitting on you. Those are things, each one individually, just like last year when you had the offensive coordinator situation and you had Ray Maluga and you had AWOL linebacker.
But every team has some of these issues. Look at Golden State now.
Every team has one of these issues. These are back to back to back to back that tell you there's a bigger problem there.
Okay. Here's my issue in terms of saying that this organization needs a complete reset. Where is the foundation? And whether you like these guys or you don't like these guys, whether you think Adam Gase is a good coach or he isn't a good coach, what was the plan? How was it executed? And moving forward, where is the foundation? There is no foundation to this team. There's none. No franchise quarterback, no offensive line, no defensive line, shaky linebacker group, shaky playmaker unit. Special teams is pretty decent.
It's pretty decent. That's the one place week to week they excel. They excel. They were ranked. You combine them. They made 5-6 impact plays last week in Green Bay. They gave them a chance. Mm-hmm. Okay, week after week, Darren Rizzi's group excels.
But here's the thing: you have to use resources and personnel to do that. You've got two running backs on the special teams unit that don't play a single snap on offense. You've got
they had two quarterbacks on the roster who weren't playing.
Four quarterbacks on the roster at one point. But I'm saying the commitment is put there to special teams to make sure that they're reliable and consistent. Now I'm curious to see what happens when they have to play a couple of games without Jakeem Grant. But Darren Rizzi always figures out a way to make it happen. You're watching X's and Omar, which is sponsored by Gulfstream Park, which is the home of the world-class thoroughbred racing, dining, shopping, and the $16 million Pegasus World Cup. We're here at Frankie's Sports Bar, chopping it up about this Dolphin season, which to me was derailed when Ryan Tannehill suffered his capsule injury to his throwing shoulder. Tannehill continues his quest to be the Dolphin starting quarterback. He started throwing this week, and the goal is for him to be healthy enough to play in the November 25th game against the Indianapolis Colts. He recently began throwing, Dave. Do you believe that Tannehill will be pain-free by next week, Wednesday?
Well, when he talked a week ago, he said he couldn't throw. He couldn't reach above his shoulder with his throwing hand
couldn't
without
reach
pain.
Up here, yes.
I
can't either, Dave. I'm old.
You don't have to throw an NFL football. And so it's hard to imagine to go from not throwing for a month and not throwing without significant pain, obviously, to all of a sudden being able to start and throw NFL caliber football in 2 weeks. I mean, this is beyond my level of medical expertise, but I've been told capsule injuries are confounding and they could go on and on and on. So, I mean, I've had people who know these injuries say he's not going to be back this year, and I've had people say, he will be back, but maybe not as quickly as he hopes.
Part of my issue with the Tannehill situation is, and trust me, nobody knows more about sports medicine injuries than Ryan Tannehill. I believe he will have a career in medicine by the time he's finished. But that might be part of the problem, where he's too smart for his own good. And it's an aggressive approach they're playing. I don't expect him to play against the Colts. I could be very wrong. We could be sitting here next week, Wednesday, and Tannehill's practicing and he's looking great. I need to see him throw a football before I say yay or nay, because he's always brought up the issue is I can't make NFL caliber throws. Now, if you can't make a 15-yard out throw, you can't be on the field for me. And because everybody's going to jump your balls. Strange to put it that way. But here's the issue. Here's the bigger issue. What kind of player are you getting with Brock Osweiler, who's replaced Tannehill, 2-3 record, producing right now an 86 quarterback rating, completing 63% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 16 sacks. Remember earlier this season when Dolphin fans were saying, oh man, he gets rid of the ball, he throws it away, he looks great, he doesn't take that many sacks. Well, that didn't last very long.
Well, he took 6 sacks, and most of them were at the end of the game against the Packers when they were teeing off, right? So, I mean, look, Osweiler is what you thought he was. In fact, he's on the upside of probably what you thought he was going into the season.
He's about right where last week he was on the upside.
Is there a big difference between him and Tannehill? A significantly
there's a significant difference.
I wish I did. I wish I saw it.
Right now, you're the worst team in the NFL in red zone execution. The Dolphins have 75 points when getting into the red zone. That's the least in the NFL. And since Osweiler's been in, it's dipped.
Okay. They had trouble scoring points with Ryan Tannehill when everybody was healthy, and they have trouble scoring points without Ryan Tannehill when they've lost a lot of people to injuries.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's my larger point, that Ryan Tannehill's not this. I'd love for him to get back, because you can't go into year 8, and I don't think they will. I think we're moving on.
We've been committed to if Adam Gase is here, baby.
Year 8?
He's married. Yeah, Adam Gase is married.
I got an 8-year itch.
That's his boo.
I got an 8-year itch, Omar.
Listen, I think here's the important question on Ryan Tannehill, and I came up with this epiphany. I don't know where I was, but I said, Ryan Tannehill's completely healthy, has great weaponry, great protection. How many wins does he produce?
Probably 10.
That's my exact same number.
That's when he's great, has everything around him that works.
Okay, that's my exact same number.
You said that the ceiling is Alex Smith, and what did the Kansas City do?
They dumped him.
They moved on.
And moved on to a pretty damn good quarterback.
I think it's time to move on.
But here's a problem when people say, "Oh, move on." Who are you moving on to?
No, don't do that. I don't like that, because these guys.
I'm not dumping my girlfriend if I'm going to be single, Dave. I'm just not. My fiance now.
I hope she's not watching this.
Single life sucks, Dave. Eli Manning.
Well,
Tyrod Taylor.
Listen, next year, here's the problem with the
Teddy
Dolphins.
Bridgewater.
15 years, they get themselves in this predicament. All of a sudden, every year, they decide, oh my God, we need a quarterback. Instead of having a big picture planning of last year or 2 years ago when Tannehill was
drafting
hurt,
one.
We better start thinking bigger picture.
That's true.
And
That's a very great
I'll give you
point.
a story from Dolphin lore. When Jimmy Johnson took over, like 1995, they went around the draft table and asked all the personnel people what they should draft, what position. And Tom Bratz said, we need a quarterback. And everybody laughed. They had Dan Marino. We don't need a quarterback. You got to plan for the future. This team only plans for right in front of them. Suddenly
I got to save my job. I got to save my job. I can't take a quarter. And I'm not disagreeing. I don't think they should have taken a quarterback in the first round. I think Minka Fitzpatrick was the right pick for them. Josh Rosen and Josh Allen, not for me. I don't believe in drafting quarterback in the first round unless you are absolutely in love with them. And I'm not in love with those guys, and neither are the Dolphins. I don't believe that either of them are going to be elite franchise quarterbacks. But you're right. They've never had a contingency plan. They've never said, hey, we need to be just in case. And they've never believed in quarterback competition. Nobody in this organization has ever believed that Ryan Tannehill has to compete for his job. Ever. And that's an unhealthy practice.
Okay, Jake Harris wants to know, do you think Cameron Wake will get his 100th sack before the 2018 season is over?
Cameron Wake needs 3.5 sacks this season. Well, actually, he's got 3.5 sacks this season. I believe he needs 5 to get he needs 4.5 to get to that total. I don't believe he'll get it. And the reason I don't believe he'll get it is because there's 6 games left. And in fact, I'm not sure he gets his 100th sack with the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, you're hurting me.
I mean, Cameron Wake is 36 years old. He's coming off that knee injury, and no doubt in my mind that Cameron Wake is an elite player who deserves to be in the Ring of Honor. But at some point, doesn't Cameron Wake want to play for championships and titles? Or does he want to have a Dan Marino legacy here?
Well, then you get into, would a team want to take on a 37-year-old with some injury background, and what team? I hope he gets it this year. My problem with him getting it this year would be what we've been talking about on this show is teams are seeing we can run a whole lot on them, and they're not going to get ahead in many games to where the other team has to pass. So, I hope he gets
Unless they
it.
score some points in the early
That's
quarter.
what I'm saying. They're not going to score some points in the early quarter.
Yeah.
Okay, our next question comes from Ted DeLesio. I really like some of the young talent we have in Laramie Tunsil, Xavier Howard, Jesse Davis, Jerome Baker, Jakeem Grant, Kenyan Drake, Vincent Taylor, Minka Fitzpatrick. I think GM Chris Grier is doing a good job of drafting talent. How do you guys feel he's doing?
I think he's doing an average job. And the reason I say he's doing an average job is because there are glaring holes on this roster. You added 2 veterans at center, but what about the young guys? Two veterans on your offensive line. The only player you added was Akeem Spence on the defensive line. Your problems are right now in the trenches. Where's Isaac Asiata? Why isn't he contributing more? These are the young players that you had to go out and sign a free agent for because they weren't ready, they weren't capable of. You had to go out and sign 2 defensive tackles 2 weeks ago because, yes, Vincent Taylor got hurt, but the young players weren't getting the job done, and Akeem Spence was not close to a replacement for Ndamukong Suh. That's on the GM, and the vision is my biggest issue with this team. Yeah, it's great to hit on the Minka Fitzpatricks of the world, but there are too many Mike Gesicki's. There are too many guys who either it's too much too early and let's hope for it in the later portion of their career, or they're just not ready. You got guys like Jerome Baker and Minka Fitzpatrick contributing at a high, Jason Saunders contributing at a high level as rookies. What about the rest of this class? And I know you don't have to hit 100% in a draft class, but you use a high resource on Mike Gesicki, and then you double down on Durham Schmeidt. From the beginning of the draft, I said, bad mistake.
Here's my larger, and I agree with most of what you said. My larger point, they've been here 3 years, this regime. And I'm not going to separate Chris Grier from Tannenbaum and Gay. I mean, but is the talent level better than it was 4 years ago? Is it worse? Is it the same? I don't see them moving the needle. That's an indictment on the personnel people and the development of the personnel, et cetera, et cetera. You can point fingers, but the regime as a whole, I just don't see them bringing in talent.
Putting you on the hot spot. Of the 3, Mike Tannenbaum, Chris Grier, Adam Gase, who's doing
I'm not playing this game.
who's doing a better job?
No, they're together. I want them together. Because if you're going to move on, you can't say, oh, well, he's all to blame.
So you're saying if they have to be removed, everybody has to go together.
I want to start all over.
Okay.
If you're gonna,
Only thing Steve Ross has not done.
If you're going to do it, right.
Emil wants to know, what level of the defense is most at fault for the defensive lapses this year?
Well, I think we've gone into that. The rushing defense has become, and the first 3 games, both lines played very well. Physical.
16-game season.
Then you go into New England, and Bill Belichick gave everybody, like passing out cards, here's how you beat the Dolphins. Just ran on, just destroyed them. And since then, any team that hasn't run on the Dolphins a lot. So, I mean,
it's the inside zone.
To me,
yeah.
The big disappointment this year really is Raekwon McMillan. And he's running around blocks. He's chasing plays. There's games like Sunday, again, where the other team's running the ball a lot. He's got 2 tackles at halftime. I mean, when you think of great linebackers, especially Zach Thomas, you think of guys who are making plays all over the field. That's the middle linebacker you need.
I want my middle linebacker to look like Carlos Dansby, and he does not look like Carlos Dansby. He doesn't even look like Channing Crowder. No offense to Channing Crowder. But Dolphin fans, they literally hated Channing Crowder. And right now, he'd be a 120 tackle player on this team. You need somebody to get tough and get physical, and they don't have it.
All right, it's time to play Omar's favorite game on X's and Omar, which is sponsored by Gulfstream Park, an entertainment destination like no other. True or false? You like this game, Omar?
I love this game.
Okay, we all know how the game is played. This one's from John. True or false, Omar? This is the lowest point of Miami sports over the last 20 years.
I would have to say so. I think all of our teams, even though the Panthers are on a nice little run right now, they give us some hope. But all our teams can be defined as mediocre in South Florida. The Miami Heat.
Mediocre to below.
Yeah. The Marlins, I mean, worst team in baseball. Hurricanes, good God. I would have never in my lifetime had thought that the Miami Hurricanes can fall this low, especially with who I feel is a good head coach in Mark Richt. I covered him at Florida State. I know he can coach. Now, what's going on, I think his team has quit. Oh. And then the Miami Dolphins. Look at this team. They're going nowhere. Look at this franchise. They're going nowhere. I would rather be the Cleveland Browns right now.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. You got a quarterback that you like.
You got a quarterback, you got a good talent, young talent base, than the Miami Dolphins. And that's hard for me to say because it's Cleveland. But the Cleveland Browns have more of a future than the Miami Dolphins. Give me 5 core players you're building around here.
I'm at a loss. Let me back to the question. The Heat, the Dolphins, and the Hurricanes all have 5 wins. Who gets to 6 first?
The Miami Heat, no question about it.
All right, Omar. Spencer wants to know, true or false, the Dolphins must draft a quarterback in 2019.
Oh, without a doubt. It's long overdue. I've been banging the table for the Dolphins to draft a quarterback since 2009 when Chad Henne was here. They did select one in Ryan Tannehill. They selected a couple. They had that Pat White,
They
too.
didn't invest in them.
Yeah.
They took one somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know who the quarterback is going to be. Oregon's Justin Herbert, I think, is going to be out of their range. There's some young quarterbacks like West Virginia's Will Grier and Duke's Daniel Jones and Missouri's Drew Lock. And I think all of them, I have started the process of watching quarterbacks. I'm starting to watch quarterbacks,
Week
Dave.
9.
Will Grier, watch his last performance. I'm intrigued. There is going to be a Kirk Cousins in this draft. The question is, can you do the quality? Because it's not a good draft. Everybody say, want a quarterback? Wait till 2020. Dolphins can't afford to wait till 2020.
See, this is where you need the vision.
Yeah.
And if you're saying, if it turns out none of these guys we love a lot of guys in the next draft, the following draft, you better start assembling chips and making decisions based on being able to maneuver.
You're talking about tanking.
And find a stopgap.
You're talking about tanking.
No, I'm talking finding a veteran quarterback for 1 year. Teams have done that.
Sam Darnold? I mean, Sam Bradford?
Well, some of them will work, some of them haven't worked, okay? But you can find
Teddy Bridgewater?
Josh McCown.
Why can't Ryan Tannehill be that? He's going to be a bridge quarterback for somebody else.
Yeah.
He's going to be the starter in Jacksonville or Buffalo.
One place you're not going to go unless you believe he's a franchise quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to get a lot of money from one of these teams that need. All 3 teams in the state need a quarterback right now.
If that's true, if I play Jay Cutler $10 million, I could pay Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, you're not going to get him for $10 million.
Well, he's out of my price range.
Okay, he's out of your price range. All right, Omar. This was from Finn Central. True or false? Minka Fitzpatrick can be an elite cornerback.
I think that is false. I think that he can be an elite safety. I think his ability to diagnose and read is very well. I like his tackling. That's what, people don't realize this, but they started struggling against the run when Minka Fitzpatrick started playing other positions. They got to get him close to the line of scrimmage in that nickel spot. Now, I like him at cornerback, but he's playing there out of necessity. Let's not be naive not to know that they're not going to draft a guy or sign a free agent to address that cornerback hole that they have. And it is a cornerback hole, another indictment of the roster.
He's been everything you would have expected in taking him, though. He's lived up to every hope, playing multiple positions, playing them well. So that's a good draft pick. All right, Dan B. asks, true or false, Kenyan Drake is being misused in Gaze's offense? Not underutilized, but misused.
That's a tough one because I can watch this offense, and especially when you break down the film, you see you're getting efficient runs from Frank Gore. You do not get efficient runs from Kenyan Drake. And to me, I need those efficient runs to give me a chance to be successful on third downs. Now, you're not being successful on third downs with them, so I can understand the argument there. But Adam Gase talked about it. His vision for Kenyan is to get Kenyan in space one-on-one. That's more in the passing game. And right now, he's caught 33 passes, 234 yards, and has scored a touchdown. I believe he's got 4 touchdowns on the season. That's good production. Now, everybody who wants him to be a 1,000-yard back, was he a 1,000-yard back at Alabama?
Well, here's the problem. At the last 5 games last year, you saw a back who looked like he could be dynamic. Now, what's happened this year? Is that on Kenyan Drake? Is it on Adam Gase? Is it on
even when he showed that
catching up to him?
It's funny. Even when he showed that, the coaches were like, let's,
why?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I never got it.
Nobody will give you a straight answer.
And as much as I love Frank Gore, don't build your offense around him and don't build your attack around him. He's very good. He has a role.
What's the problem with building a running game around a guy who's very good?
Because you're not going to get dynamic plays out of him, and you need some dynamic
I
plays.
saw some dynamic plays against Green Bay in the first half of the game.
Okay.
Now the question is, can he remain that consistent? I don't know.
All right, Omar. David wants to know, true or false, Adam Gase offers the worst offense the Dolphins have ever rolled out. Oh.
A guy.
Did he watch 2000? Was it 7?
2007. Yep.
1-15.
There's a guy named Cam Cameron who had a 1-15 team. Now he didn't have a quarterback.
But the fact we're comparing, we're in the neighborhood.
Yeah. No. Cam Cameron's team allowed 267 points in that 1-15. Scored 267 points. Year before that, they scored 260 in the, I don't even know who coached that team. Jim Bates.
Well, that was Nick Saban's last year.
Nick Saban's last year, 260 points. Here's Gaze's lowest output so far in his career has been 281, and I believe that they'll get to that pace.
But it is a different time right now. I mean, that this past decade, everything's helped the offenses, and we'd all admit, they got to score a lot more points than they're scoring to be an effective.
They got to be more efficient on third downs, more efficient in the red zone. Adam Gase has done it in the red zone previous years. He has never done it on third downs in his 3 years here in Miami, and I don't have hope or belief that that's going to get fixed right now.
All right, Adam. UK FinFan asks, Omar. True or false? Dolphins overcame injuries and doubters to post a winning record this year.
Oh, that's definitely false. I would say
2 wins against Buffalo.
Okay,
that's 7 wins.
All right,
they can't
winning. You gotta get 2 more. Who you beating? Indy.
The Patriots awful on the road, and the Dolphins play them. I'm just setting up a scenario of hope.
I'm not buying the fact that they could beat the Colts. I'm not Jacksonville. That could be a sneaker in there. You can sneak it in there. Now you got to sweep Buffalo. Buffalo with their quarterback, I forget who their quarterback. Matt Barkley, who came out of retirement, who came off his couch and scored 30 points. Matt Barkley, you don't know. And Buffalo and Miami have a good history, especially going up there in Buffalo at the season finale.
December 30th.
Yeah, Dolphins don't do too well in snow. So I'm not buying the fact. I'm not buying the fact that they can get to 9 wins. There's no chance.
I'm with you on that. You got to show you can win on either side of the ball, and right now they're not winning. The only thing they're winning is special teams, which is nice.
When the defense is producing turnovers, they're winners. And
they haven't been of late.
They did it the week prior, but
that's true.
The Jets.
Are
But
the Jets
there aren't that many Jets. Buffalo's on the season twice, so you got 2. There's your 2 wins, and you got to sneak one out against Jacksonville or Indy just to get yourself to 8. So
the rest of the season playing out. What are we going to be talking about, Omar? Anything different than we've been talking about the last few weeks?
Hopefully, guys will get healthy. Hopefully they'll find and establish an identity on offense. They still don't have one. Hopefully Ryan Tannehill will come back and show you there's still more there that we haven't seen as a fan base. Davis.
7 years, Omar. One more. I keep hearing that.
There's still more. I agree with him. Now, is it going to get you to the playoffs? No. But I think Ryan Tannehill can get you a victory against the Colts if he could play. I think Ryan Tannehill can get you a victory against Jacksonville. So that could get you to 9.
I think you can win at home.
Yeah.
This team hasn't shown me
They can win on
they
the
can
road.
win on the road. They're getting blown out on the road. Their offensive line isn't traveling very well. And so, but they do have 4 winnable games at home.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Patriots. They play very well, and the Patriots are getting blown out on the road this year.
I don't know about that, Dave. Yeah. Are we getting back to the point where we're saying the Patriots are coming back to the pack again?
Yes. Yeah, I think that is the case. The Patriots, look, they've been blown out by Detroit on the road, by Tennessee on the road. That doesn't happen to a good Patriot
Two
team.
correlations with those teams: physical play at the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
Dolphins don't have that.
Okay, so they got the Patriots, who they have a chance against.
They got a chance.
Jacksonville, they got a chance again.
Jacksonville, they got a chance.
Buffalo, they got a chance again.
That's okay.
So, I mean,
and Indy, why would you?
Well, Indy on the road. Here's my problem with any team when I say, can the Dolphins win? Can the other team score points? They got Andrew Luck playing well now, and they're trending up, and they can score points, and I'm not going to have trouble matching those points. Like a Jacksonville team, they can't score points, so they got a chance.
It's whoever gets the most turnovers in that game. Yeah. Well, that's the Dolphins season. Enjoy. Any bye week plans?
I think I'll look in on the Heat and try to find. I'm looking for a winning team in South Florida right now. Help us, poor sports writer, out. Somebody win.
Oh, man. Always a pleasure to be here with you, Dave. We are here at Frankie's Sports Bar at Gulfstream Park. Sun Sentinel, we will be doing these shows live from out here at Gulfstream Park the rest of these Wednesdays, and hopefully the Dolphins can produce a better outcome and a better season. For Omar, Kelly, and Dave Hyde, thanks for watching.